We got, we think.
I got to turn the volume down.
Shut the recorder just in case.
Okay.
Do you know where the saved at, Taylor? I mean, I'm sorry. Have you saved it?
Sorry, everybody, we're got a little technical difficulty here, so we won't actually.
There's on it.
That is
There it goes.
Well,
Sound like coordination. All right, let's see if y'all can do this right now.
sit over there. One more time. Everybody, please silence any mobile devices. If I could ask Commissioner Pittman, communication, please.
Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity, God, to get together. And discuss the business of the county again, dear Lord. We ask that you be with us tonight as we make our decisions. Please, God, instill wisdom in us and help us to be prudent with our taxpayers' resources. We thank you, dear Lord, for your many blessings that we enjoy here in Mitchell County. And we ask that your hand just be upon the lives of all in attendance and all the citizens that live here, dear Lord. We thank you for your many blessings. In Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen.
Commissioner Roberts, if you could lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Attention, salute, and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please make yourself aware of the ethics awareness and conflict of interest reminder. Anyone have any conflicts of interest this evening? Here none, moving down to item number 6 on the agenda, additions or changes to the agenda.
Chairman, I would like to make a motion to move item 16, our public comment up to item 8A.
You got a motion, second motion to move item 16 to item number 8A. I got a motion and a second, all in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. And we'll be moving that personal comment or public comment card up to 8A. Do I have a move, we adopt the agenda this evening?
So move.
Second, all in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. Item number 8 is the approval of the minutes. I have a motion, we approve the minutes from August 14th.
So, Mr. Chairman, I had one change on that. Under a public comment, it had me saying Vinoy did a hazmat, that was Solvay. So you might want to go back and change that, Solvay instead of Vinoy. Vinoy is the school contractor, Solvay's the hazmat company that all chemical stuff here.
We'll make note of that and get the clerk to correct those minutes. Do we approve those minutes from the 14th with the change from Vinoy to Solvay? Have a motion to approve those. Say, all in favor, the usual sign. Motion carries. We'll get those corrected.
Clayton's got a motion we made because of those. Thank you. Yeah. Approve what changes.
Yeah, approved with the changes. Item number 8A is public comments. So Elizabeth. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the board for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Elizabeth Irizarry de Toro. I am from Davidson County, and I've come here in a plea of assistance because I was raised that if you have something that you want to expose to someone, you go to their house and you talk to them personally. And so I feel like in Mitchell County, I wanted to come before you all because I know that Mitchell County is a very conservative county, which I'm very grateful for. I am part of the GOP at Davidson Republican Party, and I am a part of the Hispanic Coalition as well. I serve with Hispano del Sur, which is Gil Pagan as well. So that being said, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my heritage and where I'm coming from. So in 1919, my grandfather, Rafael Rivera, enlisted into the United States Army, and he served in 3 wars, World War I, World War II, and Korea, excuse me. After he went on to raise 9 churches through the Assemblies of God and served 53 years as a minister. And in 71, my father, Elvin Irizarry, became an ordained minister through the United Methodist Church and raised 5 churches with my mother, being the last one in 1983 in Puerto Rico. They raised me as a philanthropist at that time at the young age of 12. And in 89 after that, I enlisted in the United States Navy. I married, I had 3 children. I raised them doing the same that I saw my parents do before. And in 2003, I also joined the AmeriCorps Vista, where I served my community and I taught over 5,000 students to be able to deal with the digital divide that was there in Puerto Rico. That being said, when I moved to Thomasville, I continued not only my pursuit of education, but also working within the community. That being said, in 2016, I established my nonprofit called The Eagle Speaks, which empowers people to be able to move forward and do what God has called them to do, obviously. My husband, Will Toro, he is Reverend Will Toro, under the First Love Fellowship that we have in Thomasville. And together we I guess, work and engage with the community as well. That being said, in 2020, I also became a part of the Thomasville City Schools Board of Education, and I served there for 2 years. So why have I said all that? I said all that because I raised my son, Sergeant John Luke Diaz Irizarry, to do exactly the same things, except when he went in Afghan in 2020, he came back a very different person in 2020. That being said, he is presently in custody of Mountain View Correctional due to a very bad incident through his PTSD. Now,
I'm sorry, what was his name again?
his name is John Luke Diaz Irizarry, and his number is 1695367. And he is presently in Mountain View Correctional. Now, that being said, I know for a fact when we did the court hearing in Davidson, I pleaded temporary insanity because it had been 6 months that he'd been back from Afghan. But he decided to go in full-fledged uniform before the judge and apologize for behavior unbecoming of a soldier and took the hit and pleaded guilty. That being said, the reason why I'm here before you is because his wife is here and she suffered recently a pulmonary embolism, which if you don't know about it, it basically is clots, blood clots in the circulation. And so it's hard for us to travel 3 hours every time we come and visit. And she has sent out to the governor's office a request to transfer closer to Davidson County. And the reason why I come before you today is because I wanted you to be aware of that. And the reason is because they make it very difficult for transfers to happen if it's within the less than the 18-month being in an institution. So that being said, we wanted you to know that we are going to start making the proper arrangements to see. Now, moving forward, again, I'm the type of person that I'd rather go and talk to whoever I need to talk to before any kind of thing is done in the court. That's the way I feel. And that's why I've always been, because as ministers of the gospel, we're supposed to bring peace. And so the reason why I come before you is because I know that you being a part of the government can be able to help us, that this transition would be smooth, and explaining the reason why the transfer is more for her health. He has 2 young boys, 8 years old, 10 years old. Those are my grandchildren. And it would be so much better and easier to be able to bring them to see their father as well, if he were closer. So that's the only thing I have before you right now. I also sent you all emails explaining a little bit more of the details. And if you have any questions, you can contact me in reference to that. But we will be sending letters to the warden and we will be trying our best to be able to transfer them over to Davidson or at least in Rowan County, which is the most similar facility there. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks for driving up here, Tom. That's a good job. So thank you, guys. Next item on the agenda this evening is employee of the month. You guys are free to go. You don't have to sit in and
Thank you so much.
listen to all of our exciting stuff.
You'll be surprised. My
You
goodness,
got-
idea
you said
to
you were
take
on the
back to
board.
Davidson.
You said you were on the board, so I know
Yeah.
you've got to set up through a few of these.
I know all about it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item here is the Mitchell County Employee of the Month for August 2023. Pops, you can't sit back there and get awarded. You gotta come all the way up here at least and stand. Thank you for coming tonight. We're glad you're able to get here. Mitchell County Board of Commissioners would like to recognize Wesley Pops, telecommunicator and the 911 Center as the Employee of the Month for August. Wesley's been nominated and selected for going above and beyond with the activities and streamlining process to simplify operations for all staff at the 911 Center. Wesley's always demonstrating positive attitude, which makes a better work environment as well as contributes in helping our citizens when they have to call 911. He's always willing to step up and take on extra shifts when coverage is needed so the center can provide the service our citizens need and deserve. He also is a great example of being diligent with his thorough documentation for all the calls of service. He goes above and beyond for staying on top of the most current information and ensuring all staff members have it to remain up to date. Wesley has a true passion for the people served in Mitchell County, not only during their work hours, but also while out in the county. He's done a great job to build strong working relationship with the partners critical of 911, such as law enforcement, fire departments, and EMS crews. Wes is greatly appreciated for his commitment, compassion, reliability, and positivity at all times. Thank you, Wes, for going above and beyond on behalf of the commissioners in Mitchell County. Congratulations being selected Employee of the Month. So I know what you do up there. I liken it to like a control tower operator. I mean, it's just.
Some days it's worse than that.
Yeah, it's probably worse than that. Yeah, it's, I mean, I know you guys are swamped up there and, as somebody that has used your services before, thank you for what you do. And I know this board feels the same way, so we appreciate it. You come right here. Okay. Now get that board in here. Now we gotta get a good board picture, Jeff. I want the whole board up here good to me.
Yes.
We slide around here. Where you going, board? You get in here.
Harlan has to.
Oh, really? I have to. I have to on purpose.
You can stand in front of us.
There you go, my friend.
All right, so yeah, Clayton, good, no.
Clayton.
Come to the, there you go, okay. All right, everybody got a smile, ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome, thank you.
Appreciate it, Wes, man. Thank you, man. We appreciate you. Here's your little note. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, Wes.
Still hear a little bit of feedback.
Next item on the list this evening is I believe, the tax collector's report. Jackie?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have for you tonight, the August totals collected taxes is $2,099,000, $328.55. $2,099,000. And we're continuing on. We don't have our mortgage checks yet. They'll be coming, forthcoming. And for the payment plan monthly, we have 55 taxpayers with a total of 92,000 outstanding balance.
That's great.
When the escrow usually come, Jason?
When what?
The escrow, the mortgages.
November.
that the bulk of collections?
Yes, yes, the employees, okay, the majority. Oh, okay. We'll watch for it. The foreclosure status, we had 3 that auctioned off on the 22nd of August. 1 is still pending upset period, and that's the 8th, when it'll come out, unless someone upsets that bid. We've got 2 set up for September 20th auction. Those are mortgage style foreclosures.
Is anybody buying these ones that's been going on auction?
Local,
No, that's good.
yes.
In the mortgage. So by mortgage company, they actually sent somebody here
On the
on
mortgage.
September 20th.
Oh, that will be Dean Ronstapp's office.
Oh,
That will be
Dean.
controlling that. Yes, yes. He
Okay.
handles all that.
Because I've dealt with some in the past where they actually, somebody might come up here from Raleigh.
Yeah, it's the same type of procedure. And Mr. Eckers can explain that.
And they can reject this type of foreclosure, they can reject any of the bids, correct?
Yes, typically in a tax foreclosure, taxes are a first lien above mortgages and other liens. So typically, the county would bid in its costs and unpaid taxes as the opening bid. And anything above that would be bid by a private person. So the reserve, if you will, would be the money the county actually has in it. So that if the county itself is the high bidder, you have protected the amount that you've invested in that property so that you could turn around and sell it again if you needed to. But it is the same process with a 10-day upset bid, like a mortgage process. It's just handled locally by Mr. Grindstaff's office.
Yes, yes.
If that's not too long or too short.
No,
of
thank you.
explanation.
Thank you for
Thank you.
clarification.
And then we'll have one more pending filing. And then we'll be working on more foreclosure. Yes, it is. But that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list is item number 10A, late application for a tax exemption for Cloudland.
Mr. Chair, I can speak to that a little bit on behalf of Blair. He told me to speak towards it. So Cloudland Church had purchased property adjoining the church grounds. And it's a graveyard and just extra maybe picnic fellowship area. It is a nonprofit. They were not aware that that was being taxed a certain way, and they wanted to pull it in to have that exemption upon knowledge. So Blair felt like, it being a church and a nonprofit type entity, that it would be something that would have the grounds to be granted. So that's what he wanted me to forward to this board.
And it's basically they bought the property adjoining them.
Yeah, he said if it was off campus and it wasn't adjoining, he'd have a little bit of an issue with that, but since it was adjoining the current one, and it was a graveyard and it was a public area that was, for open to the public, that all that in that church, that he felt okay with that.
Mr. Chairman, there's a sample motion at your desk, or I can hand you my copy if you need.
I do have that, you guys.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board of commissioners find that good cause exists for the late filing of the applications for property tax relief. And further move that the board of county commissioners approve the applications for property tax relief set forth in our agenda packet. Okay.
You're so fine with the tax.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. Next item on the list this evening is RFQ discussion. And that is see Mr. Brock here, and I see Mr. Allen. I know you guys have been deep in that, so you guys.
I think Brock, you stand up there and I'll sit right here. We'll team up on it.
Yes, sir.
So we had RFQs to move forward with the Mitchell recreational facility that will be located basically right behind this office. We are looking to select Mosley. And so they were our primary architect selection, so we had to move forward with a meeting to come to terms on price. And Brock, Stan, Harley, Brandon, I think Clayton attended that meeting. And Lloyd's, yes. And so we came to terms that they're basically doing half the rate that they did for the law enforcement center. So they gave us a very good deal. So, you know, their rate is chiming in half of that of what we have for the law enforcement center. We feel like that is a good enough to move forward. And on my desk that just came while I was fiddling with this computer was a last minute overnight mail package of their contract, which would need to be signed. So Brock, I wanted, before I talk about that move to get that contract signed, I wouldn't mind, since you're standing up here.
Good.
Give us just a little bit of an update on what we hope and what we think on this Mitchell Recreation Complex.
They talked and we saved 4 months, 5 months, because it's less than 20,000 square foot. So it doesn't have to go through the DOI. DOI, is that correct? So it doesn't have to go through that. That saves us 5 months. They were talking that engineered steel, you can get it a lot quicker than you used to could. So he had it at like 21 months, which would put us in July 25, which we need to be finished by October 25 for our party grant. They gave us a really good rate. They seemed really good to work with. They seemed really eager to work with Stan. And I think Stan will probably take some of their site visits because he's here, which is another thing that I think will not hold us up, because he's at Grass Creek instead of Todd's in Burlington, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think that's a plus. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a good
It's like-
meeting, and you know, as far as we're going with site development starting this week. Young McQueen's supposed to be out toward the end of the week moving equipment here, and we'll start getting the site ready. Now, as far as a groundbreaking time, we're kind of waiting till Lloyd gets back on that, and maybe have the commissioners and Ralph and everyone and Parks and Rec staff, and county staff there to have us a ribbon cutting ceremony, maybe in the early October is what we're hoping for.
Stan he sent me an email earlier today too, and we talked about, like, I went to Sam's today to get hot dogs. So I'm thinking of stuff that he sent and he forwarded it on to Todd. I came back with my 240 hot dogs and I ain't got nowhere to put them. So I took them to the field house and put them in that refrigerator. So, you know, we talked about putting a commercial washroom in there. I wash all our laundry for the rec department at the field house. And we talked about putting a fridge / small kitchen, nothing big, in the concession part or stuff like that. I mean, we're really fortunate that we have such a good working relationship with the schools, because I use them out. So I'm forwarding that stuff to him. He's forwarding it on to Todd, and he's laying stuff out that, you know, we need as we get together. But time, what do you say? Time is of the essence now.
Yes, yes.
So what we'd like to do tonight is have a motion to sign this contract and move forward.
Mr. Chairman, under the RFQ process, it'd be a motion to select Mosley as the architect, and then after that, we would then negotiate and sign the contract, unless
We've already done it.
we've already selected.
Last meeting. Yep.
Very good, excellent.
And then we had a meeting to go to terms.
Do you have a copy of that contract, or do you want to do that contingent on attorney review?
Attorney review.
In agreement with that, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
If you proceed, I realize that you're in a hurry to get this thing in the
I've
ground.
been in a hurry. You're good.
Them weeks is not going
No,
We open it up, make sure it hasn't got powder in it or something. Yeah, you know, kind of stand back here.
The way I'm understanding, we can go ahead and make the motion to move forward with Mosley pending attorney review
Yes.
of the contract, so we don't have to wait to go through that, so.
I'll also say too, that Stan did he did budget what he thought. all the way down. And when we met with Todd and the architect, they said that they thought it was doable for what he put it on. So they didn't come back and say, gosh, we'll never be able to build it for that. They were pretty optimistic for that. So
Seems like I thought some of it was under budget.
some of it's over, so it's gonna come, yeah,
Wash out.
yeah.
And we'll have attorney review, and then if the motion is to sign the contract upon attorney review, that'll be good. This is actually related to our next item on the agenda.
So I'll entertain a motion,
Make a motion to move forward with signing the contract pending attorney review for Mobley Architect.
do I have a second? Second. All in favor, vote with usual sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ross.
Rob, thank you.
Next item on the list this evening is the law enforcement center bids. And I believe that one is also county
Well, I'll be
manager.
talking about,
Yeah.
a lot of what this job is running building projects. So, this one here is the law enforcement center. We just talked about the rec center. And on the law enforcement center bids, Mosley is our architect, and they are overseeing the bidding process. They are running that through their platform, and so we got 3 bids. I'm here today to ask for, this is an item for discussion from our board. And we had 3 bids, and they come through at Brantley Construction, Hickory Construction, and J.M. Coat. To put this into this like quick math, Hickory Construction was the lowest bidder by a considerable amount, as in 600 to 700,000 difference. All of them were vetted out. The bidders were, the construction companies. Mosley assigned points to the process. They did an auditable analysis of all the bids. And so we have the right in our contract to select any and all bidders, but I wanted to ask you a question about that. Let's say that there's just maybe a preference, maybe a past project that was done that wasn't up to par. Would we, what are the circumstances of which you can negotiate into the next bidder?
So by statute, you'd have to go with the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. A responsive bid is one that answers all the criteria that you asked for. So it matches your bid qualifications is the responsive part of that. To be a responsible bidder requires that you find that they are capable and able to complete the task as laid out. If you've had a negative experience with a contractor in the past, you can consider that as part of your rationale as to whether you find them to be not a responsible bidder in that regard. So your options in that case would be, you can certainly either accept the lowest responsible bidder. If you are the opinion that someone is not a responsible bidder, we would need to state the facts and the basis for why you're making such a finding if you wish to proceed with the second highest bidder. Or your third option is you could reject all bids and go and rebid the process again. So those would be your 3 options under the contracting law. So if you do wish to reject the lowest bidder as not responsible, you would need to specify what about that other project causes you to find them to not be a responsible bidder in this case.
Kevin, do we meet again in 2 weeks?
We do.
Can I make a motion to table this item for 2 weeks?
And that would be another motion that would be in order, Mr. Chairman.
So we got a motion to
I'll
take.
second that motion.
We'll second it, and all in favor, we'll sign. I don't know if you had to, but we'll table that till.
Just start it and for 2
Yes.
weeks.
Thank you, Ken. Or county manager. Next item is the delegated authority MOA.
Mr. Chair, at this point in time, I would make a motion to table this delegation of authority MOA until the next meeting.
Got a motion to table the MOA authority, second? You don't have to have a second for table, so that's right. So you're good. And we're, if anybody wonders why we've got a couple of things on here and we're tabling those, we got a lot of discussion points we're trying to nail down on that. And so, you know, trying to do our due diligence here over the next couple of weeks. We meet again in 2 weeks. We'll hopefully be able to get all that stuff, all of our research done on that. So we'll move that one to our next meeting in September. Next item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, vote by using the sign.
Did you make that motion?
He did.
I did.
Who seconded?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get to Jeff.
I was gonna say, I heard.
I'm trying
Jeff
to take
Barry.
that for your clerk.
Arlie, you're doing a good job. Keep it up, man.
Where's that thoroughbred horse finance officer at? She got any legs, she's ready for action, man.
I don't know about that. I think Jeff told me a story about that easy leg recovery. That's
I'm trying to be honest with you.
fair. Yeah, I think they fail to tell you a lot of things when you have one of those. So if anybody's
Nobody does it,
considering,
nobody does it.
come ask me. Okay, I want to start off with the finance report, and I really put that information in your box, I think, last Friday or whatever. Does anybody have any questions about any of that before I go into the next topic, which is gonna be a little bit longer? We're doing good financial, probably next month we'll see a budget amendment. We've gotten 2 new grants since the budget passed in July. So I'm kind of waiting to see if the state passes their budget and what we see coming out of that I need to change. So probably we'll just do one in October for the first quarter. So I have started working on one, so we will have one soon. What I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about is the fire at the Alta Pass Recycling Center. And I think everyone knows pretty much the basics, but the fire happened Monday night, August 21st. The call came in at 7:40, and according to the fire reports, they had it under control somewhere around 8:10. So it was very, we're fortunate that it was brief. The fire departments responded quickly. There were 4 of them, and it was contained to the metal building. The wooden building got smoke damage pretty severely. However, there's no actual fire damage in there at this point. Tuesday morning, I contacted the insurance company about 9 o'clock. By 1 o'clock, they already had the first adjuster out to see us. The building adjuster came out that afternoon about 1. Then after that, the insurance company sent the equipment adjuster. In that metal building, we had all of our equipment. We had our baler, which if you're not familiar with, is what we use to recycle cardboard and plastic. That piece of equipment was really old. We bought it used in 1995 for $46,000. It was an old piece of equipment, needed to be replaced. So if there's anything good comes out of this, we do need to replace our baler. Unfortunately, what was also in there was a very old skid steer, which they think is what started the fire. It was a point of whatever they call that, Clayton, point of ignition or whatever. We also had a brand new Bobcat there that had 2 hours on it, which was 2 hours of training. We were still in the process of training all the employees on the new one, so it had not really been put into use yet. So the old skid steer was being used. So that piece of equipment, I've not got the verdict on. I'll get to that in a minute. We also had 2 forklifts in there. One had about 2,600 hours on it and one had 1,600 hours on it. It was a 2018 and a 2019. Fortunately, Both forklifts are now running and operating. They have some, of course, physical damage to them. But it was just the plastic or those things that melted, the actual mechanics, they're working. So we are up and running. The power was down for about a week. It took about a week for our maintenance staff to get three-phase back operating at the compactor site, which now is operating, but of course, to operate that site, we needed the forklift, so we do have those operational. I heard today, we actually got some two-phase back in the office, and I'm not sure if they got the full building up, but they've got some two-phase going. They also got water back going. So that helps tremendously. We did have to get a porta-john at that location, which I've been told by the insurance company they will pay for. That's called temporary operations. And they are also approved already the equipment we had to buy, the materials we had to buy to put the electricity in temporary. All that's temporary since the boxes got.
Well, all the equipment that you just mentioned there too, be included as part of this, like.
If I had to rent, if those forklifts weren't operational and I had to rent one to operate, it would have been covered. Okay. So where we are is the insurance company sent the building adjuster out day one. About 2 days later, the equipment adjuster came along with the insurance company also sent what they have called a building consultant. They actually come out and price what has to be done and how much it's going to cost for the insurance company. Then the following week, they sent a structural engineer. And they also sent a restoration company, I have to get those words right, a restoration company that would actually come in and actually do the physical work. I did reach out because Friday I was told that the structural engineer was going to take 2 weeks for his report. But I did find out late this afternoon, I've been conversing back and forth with the building adjuster. And he says he's gotten a verbal from the structural engineer, which states that the steel in that, what they call those, Clayton, the pillars or the steel is good. So the truss, I would call them wooden trusses, but these are steel. So that was the key question to the whole thing was, did they get hot enough that had compromised them? Would they have to all come down? Or if they were good and the concrete's good, then you're basically peeling the skin off and putting new, what's that called? Metal sheeting back and roof. So verbally, that's what he's told the insurance company. So, and that's what the building consultant has come back with his quote, and his quote to redo what needs to be done, do the cleanup on the smoked areas, pull all the installation out, of course, and put it back in, do everything they need to do. And trust me, they done a thorough, they counted light bulbs and plates on the wall for electrical. I mean, they did a thorough job, and it come back about $200,000 for that part of the work. So now it'll be up to the insurance to negotiate with the restoration company to see if the restoration company came out. They did theirs all digitally, by the way. They had a machine that kind of just mapped the whole thing out. So they'll come up with their price, and hopefully the insurance company and the restoration company can come together on that, and that part they'll take care of. I'm not too worried about that part. I think it's going to work out okay. The part I'm really concerned about it, I don't have a report, and I asked Lade again this afternoon, and he was going to follow up to see why he doesn't have an equipment estimate. I can tell you probably why not, is that guy did not have a clue what a baler was. He was going to have to go research it. I'm not sure he fully understood all the equipment that was in that building. However, he took pictures and took all the information. Plus, I gave them all the information that I had on each piece and what it cost. I have already priced all that equipment brand new and sent to them, although we know they're not going to replace it all brand new. I'm also in the process, Toyota,
Was that?
of the equipment brand new, if we had to replace it. 2 forklifts are, each forklift is about $36,900 a piece right now. Bobcats, if I purchased two of those to replace the two we had, they're actually come down just a little bit from the one I bought this past year. It's about 97,000 for two. The new baler, I've got a price on it. They came out last week and looked, is 189, somewhere around there, which is, I was thinking between 200,000 and 300,000. So I'm kind of thankful. I've not seen a huge increase in prices in the last year and that stuff. So I'm glad. Now, the kicker to getting that stuff is time wise. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about that in a minute. But right now, I don't know. Unfortunately, the guy's telling me a little bit like, well, your baler is on your insurance at valued at $46,000. Well, I know it is because that's what's on our fixed assets. That's what we bought it for. When we buy it, you put it on your insurance, you put the cost of it, just like that new Bobcat. I just put that on the week before. I wrote the check, we put it on insurance at 55,000. So I don't know what our insurance is going to come back and say. I have read the policy. I got Lloyd last week to kind of help me a little bit understand because I'm not insurance savvy. Basically, it looks like if anything was within 2 years old, we're pretty good. They're probably gonna give us full replacement value. If it's older than 2 years old, it's probably gonna be a prorated amount based on depreciation. That's the case, they're not gonna give us nothing for the baler. We bought it at $46,000. Although I also have a statement from the company that came out last week, and they're saying that baler, if it was like before the fire and it was working and operable, it was worth $50,000. But I also know that company's out of business and we can't get parts for it because we tried a few years to get a part for it and we couldn't. We had to get it fabricated. So the company's out of business that made that baler. Folks, you know, if we paid 46 in 1995, we've got our money out of it. We've been using it every day since.
Does the insurance pay out on like accumulated depreciation or book value?
Well, I don't know that exactly. I'm not gonna answer that question. Eggers might know, but Attorney Eggers, I don't know what they're gonna pay.
I'd have to review the policy.
Yeah, we'd have to review it. I'm not sure what they're gonna pay.
And do we have a deductible?
$1,000. And they were, I have talked to the lady, I asked for this to be fast tracked because, and I'll get to that in a minute too. And she did fast track it. Her name is Laura Heckman with Segwit. And she did tell me, even though it was one incident, so normally you would have $1,000 equipment, $1,000 building, but because it happened at the same time, she's gonna put it in on one claim, even though it kind of goes to two sections of the company. So I will just have $1,000 deductible, which is great. Okay. Meaning we don't have a baler means we cannot recycle cardboard or plastic. So that means till we're up and running again, that debris is going into.
Can you rent one? As part of continued operations.
You don't have nowhere to put it till we get that building back up and going and we have permanent 3-phase power.
Cause that's gonna increase our dump fees too, ain't it?
I mean, I didn't ask him about rental. I don't even know if they make such a thing as a rental.
Yeah, they do, because I just rented one not too long ago.
Who'd you rent it from?
Company out of Hickory, REI.
That's who came up here and did my spec.
Yeah, we had to rent one.
But is it permanently, is it a vertical or a inload?
This is a vertical one, so
Doesn't have a conveyor belt?
it does have a conveyor. We had to do a little modifying around what we had to get it to where we wanted it, but same situation, we couldn't not do it, so we
Okay.
just figured out a way to make it work, so to speak.
You all got a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money,
Okay.
but in the situation like this, from an operation standpoint, you think the insurance would cover.
Renting one?
It would fall just like that forklift would.
We're gonna lose money on what we make off of our recyclables. It's gonna increase our dump fees. So
It's gonna increase our dump fees and we're gonna lose the money we made off of recyclables.
So-
So it's a two-edged sword.
I mean, I would think legally we'd be covered. I mean, that was the policy.
I'll refer back to the policy, but it may make cost sense, regardless, to rent one perhaps.
I think so.
I can ask.
That's an option.
So did they permanently, how did you rent it? How's it? Like ours is permanently attached into the concrete.
So this thing was, let's see, it was, we permanently fixed this one, so we actually rented it. It was $120,000, I think, for the rental, but we just set it up that we're gonna, we're renting it, but we're gonna buy it because
Oh,
the process that we do is so crappy on equipment. They're like, we don't want it back, so we're basically paying $12,000 a month to them, but we're gonna, at the end of it, we'll still have it, we'll own it, so, in the process like this, they would probably take it back because.
but the problem is, how did he, I'm surprised he had one to rent, because if I purchased one, they're telling me it's a 12 weeks to get it. Now, and they build the conveyor, so he's gonna have to build the conveyor. But to get the type of machine we need, if I order it, it's gonna be 12 weeks. Now, he said he has one down there, but it's not the type we use. It was a vertical, and that's not what we use for cardboard and plastic, so. I don't know, I can call him. Did you work with Cameron? Whatever his last name is.
Yeah, I can send you the contact.
I've got it. I mean, he came up here,
Davis and I both talked to him. We just need to ask and check. We'll just see what he says.
I mean, even in the short term, like you say.
I mean, I don't know
you
if
have to
it's
do it.
worth it for 4 months, well. We'll just have to do some investigation on renting it, because see, they've got to pull our old one out, which he's agreed to do it. The other thing is because we're gonna be buying a piece of equipment that costs that much, we have to go through I've gotta get 3 bids, number one, before I can do anything. Which I have sent I don't know if you've ever worked with Catawba Baylor, but I sent them the specs that Cameron drew for me. And I can share those, I can.
That one is, yeah. That one, well, it's sort of inside, it's an open area, it's got a roof over it. But it's open.
So what are you bailing with it?
Plastic, cardboard, both, we've actually got 2 different ones. That, it's probably worth asking.
I'll let you
I'm
look
just
at
thinking
these
if,
specs.
to me, it seems like that would be something that the insurance would have to cover based on the,
Continued operations.
yeah, that's.
I don't
that's
know.
what I think.
Or at least losses that we pay. Yeah,
I can track the losses. Now, my problem there is I have no way to weigh that cardboard or plastic if it's going into the general population single stream.
No point you average your month.
But I can go back, and for 4 months, I can go back to 4 months last year, maybe for the last 2 years, and it's probably gonna run, I'm guessing, $25,000 to $30,000. But, and then you can also, on the other hand, track your costs for transfer out for 4 months, for the same period of time, for example, 4 months, and see what the change is, but it's gonna get pretty technical. I will say this, it was so busy over there Monday, they pulled 12 loads to the transfer station in one day. We've never done that. So my concern is this, whatever we do, and I don't. My fear is if the insurance company only valued that Baylor at $46,000, they're not gonna pay $120,000 to rent one. I mean, I think I think we're asking for a no win there, but I might be wrong.
That's
but-
it's 12,000 a month, so that's
That's 48,000, so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you need for 4 months, it'd be
Selling
48,000.
plastic and cardboard
Yeah.
covered half your costs, they pay that.
Yeah. I don't know, we'll have to look at that, but anyway. I would love to be up and running before Christmas, because that time frame between Thanksgiving and Christmas is when you get the majority of your cardboard. That is
I had more people call me last week about that recycling center than I've ever had since I've been.
don't mess with the trash, trust me.
Nobody wants to drive to Snow Hill, I can assure you. I said, don't drive to Snow Hill, drive to McDowell County. I want you to take it down there.
Little Switzerland got bombarded Monday. They had to leave early because the truck was like overfilled. Everybody waited and went to Little Switzerland where the mobile unit was Monday. It was
Yeah.
horrible last Monday. Now, this Monday, we were open. Yeah, it was tough. I was out there a lot and I talked to a lot of citizens who were driving by. I even took one lady's trash myself and put it in my car because she was from Charlotte. And I'm like, she was up here cleaning out her house up here to rent it, and she had 2 bags of trash. And that was her second time coming by, and she was very nice, and I felt sorry for her. So I said, give me your trash, I'll put it in my car. I mean, it was rough. I'm not lying. It was rough. So I guess where we are is, no matter what, we're gonna have an investment to get this back up and running. Alan made a comment that made a lot of sense to me. We don't want to put it back the way it was. We want to put it back to where it's going to last another 20 years or 25 years. I mean, it's been since 1995 since we've been out there, and we've not done anything to that building or that baler or that skid steer that burnt. Now, the other 3 pieces of equipment was in there have been bought more recent. But that would have been the next thing on the agenda. And honestly, if there'd been money in the budget this year, I would have probably said we needed a baler. But as long as that baler is, as long as that baler was working, it's one of those things when it breaks, then you worry about it. It's like the front end loader in sanitation. We're still plugging along with it, but it's going to break one day. And you have to make that decision. You contract that out or do you buy a new truck? Well, the baler's the same way. I think we need to replace the baler because citizens of Mitchell County do like to recycle. Now, if you don't believe me, go to AltaPass on any given day and watch. They like to recycle.
Makes some financial sense.
It does. Plus, the state statute says we're supposed to be recycling, and those products are not supposed to go to this transfer station. And we do recycle everything that the state of North Carolina says we're supposed to recycle. So that's where we are. So.
I just think you'd have some, hopefully, more numbers.
Well, I'm waiting on.
Maybe true numbers in 2 weeks, like.
I
And
hope,
the insurance gonna pay this and.
I'm waiting on the insurance people, and I've been bugging them all day today to see where we are. Unfortunately, I'm at their mercy now. I'm waiting on them to put their numbers together. And I will call Cameron tomorrow and ask him about a rental. I don't know that he's gonna do that unless we're gonna, number one, I don't know if he has one.
Yeah.
He sure didn't act like he had a machine that would work for us because he told me it would take him 12 weeks. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Bobcats are not a year now, but they're going to be probably 9 months. I think they told me 6 to 9 months. Forklifts, and I don't think I'm gonna have to buy a forklift. I think I can rehab the forklifts. They're not even, all of that equipment's not gonna come out again until January. My people that I buy from say they're not even gonna have any until January when the new models come out. But they're not projecting the price to be, in fact, they're pretty stable with what I've been buying. So that was good. I guess I just want them to come to terms on the building and get that going. And again, I don't know if we're going to put a new baler in there till we get that building. Because I'm thinking if I ordered one and it's 12 weeks, my building will be finished, clean. I won't have people in there working, so we put a new piece of equipment in there. It's safe and good.
You're gonna order that baler when you can,
It's up to you. I'm asking you what you want me to do.
I mean, because you're gonna.
Okay, I've got to get
We're
three.
gonna have to pay, we're gonna either pay for it or they'll pay for it, but
We've got to get it.
we need to order.
And
it
I really do
anyway.
think that's that will be our investment. The rest might be nickel and dime, but I think whatever and I'm still waiting for the insurance company. I mean, they know what it's on the books for and they know what it costs me to buy one. I'm waiting for them to tell me what they're going to give me. How much are they
I
going to
hate to
pay me?
lose 12 weeks sitting here.
I mean, I think we need to get one ordered. I've got to get 3 quotes.
Yeah,
and
maybe
like I
you have that by
said,
the next-
I've sent out 2 more requests and sent them the specs after Cameron came and spec'd it out. I tried to get Catawba to come spec it, but they wouldn't come because I'd already called. I tried to get Catawba Bella first, He was out of town forever. 6 days I couldn't get a hold of that man. So I backed up and called REI. Huh?
I would have done the same thing.
Okay, I give up on Catawba. So I called REI and so then REI calls and says they're gonna be there the next day. Well, then of course I hear from Catawba and he said, oh, I can come tomorrow at whatever time. Well, it's the same time REI was coming and I said, well, I just want to tell you ahead of time, I've already got another vendor coming. He said, well, there's no sense in me coming then. He said, just if you want me to quote it, let me know and I'll send you a quote. But he said, there's no sense in two of us coming out and doing specs. So he didn't come. So that kind of,
Moses, do you think you can have 3 quotes by our next meeting?
yeah, oh, I'm gonna have 3 quotes for this week.
Okay,
If I can get somebody to quote it. I mean, I can't, that's another thing, Attorney Eggers, what am I gonna do? Because there's very few vendors that handle this specialized equipment. What if I can't get 3 quotes?
So the statute says after we put it out to bid, and if we fail to get 3 quotes, we're supposed to advertise the second time.
Oh,
And then if we fail to get 3 bids on the second advertisement, the commissioners can decide to proceed with the bids that they have.
okay, that's gonna take a lot of time. So I'm hoping I get 3 bids. I'm gonna get 3 bids.
You need some contacts. I've got some folks in Charlotte and some other places that I can give you some contacts.
You got some more besides Catawba and REI? There was a place in Charlotte, but I thought are they not a division of REI or are they just different?
I'm not sure who you talk to.
Okay.
These are, I got some different companies that I can.
You might shoot them to me and let me just reach out to them. But if you went with REI, that makes me feel better. No,
Sometimes they're the closest by.
they are the closest.
That's what I'll say that, and they help some, I mean. Where I get aggravated with them is the service, the response.
service is-
Service, cause
Okay,
I'm like, I
yeah.
need this like.
No, I'm used to.
Today, yeah.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow.
Yeah,
And so that's where I've been frustrated. As far as buying new stuff with them, I ain't never had any trouble. It's always been.
well, let's see what Catawba does. I mean, that's gonna be the 2, I
And
think.
then also see how much they'll give you if REI does it. A lot of times they will take your old baler and haul it out, ask them what kind of.
They will,
How much they'll give you off of the price of the new.
they will give me whatever
all that stuff.
whatever scrap, they're gonna take ours as scrap metal. There's nothing there that can be used. And they said they would take it and sell it for scrap metal and whatever they get for it, they'll credit back to us. He put that in the proposal.
That's good.
So we did, because we were worried about having to get that beast out of there. And he's also gonna redesign it. Well, Mike asked him if he could lower it, because it goes all the way to the ceiling. The conveyor really doesn't now with the new machines have to go all the way to the ceiling, and have such a large drop. And he agreed with Mike and said, yes, you don't need that. The old timey machines, you had to do that, but the new ones you don't. And also it's sitting in the center of the building. And they're wanting to move it over about 4 feet or so to give more space here, so the equipment's not sitting right up against it. And when you run the equipment down through there, you're not hitting the wall. And I don't know if Clayton, if you went in there or not, but you can see skid marks on the side of the wall where equipment has run, and plus the bathrooms on that side. So he agreed that moving it over about 4 feet made a lot of sense. So there's a lot of work to get the old one out and then to try to position a new one. That's why I don't think anybody's gonna rent us a piece of equipment and go to all that trouble. That's just me. They might, but
And
I,
that cost is chiming in right around 180.
189,000.
Right around.
The other thing that we talked to them about, and we'll talk about this later, is we have a manual can crusher that you have to stand and hand feed. Take a broomstick and push the cans down. It crushes them, spits them out a thing and into a bin. They make a hand crusher baler now. They're about 20,000, 19,000 and some change. And he told us, I don't remember what the statistics were on that, how
You get a lot
It
more
bails
density
them.
of the-
it bails
Yeah.
them. That way you have more options on selling that. If it's bailed,
It's really good. on
we can
cans.
call a company like we call now to come get our plastic and our cardboard gets bailed. They'll bring a tractor trailer, pick it all up for you. You know, we're not handling it and carrying it right now. We're taking a bin, a 40-yard bin of crushed cans, and we're having to haul it to curbside in Asheville or to GDS down in Newton, Conover. So we're having to haul those cans. Recycling's not profitable. Don't let anybody fool you. It costs money to recycle. But it would save us money if we got a new can crusher that actually baled them and was automatic.
You don't have man hours tied up, central feeding it.
Yeah. And you don't have to keep that bin there, which is taking up a lot of room when you could just. And you can set them out in the field. It doesn't matter if that gets wet. Your cardboard has to stay dry. So we have to keep cardboard, televisions and computers under the lean-to or the side of the building there. You keep those dry. The other products like plastics and cans, we can set those in the field outside the loading dock until the truck comes to pick them up and then we load them. So that's more than you want to know about recycling. I know a lot. I've learned over the years about recycling. When I came here, I didn't know none of that. I didn't know you had 4 kinds of plastics and 3 kinds of aluminum, and I didn't know any of that. So what I will do, if I'm hearing you, is I'm gonna go ahead and try to get 3 bids. We'll get the bids, and then hopefully I'll come back and report to you in 2 weeks, and we'll find out about rental and what that option is. But if we need to get moving on something. The baler, I know we have to replace. The Bobcat, if we could start recycling before we have the Bobcat, we can rent a Bobcat. Those are pretty easy. Just like a forklift. That forklift company,
Do
even
you have one running?
no,
And you was not running either.
oh, no, it's melted. It got fried.
It don't look as bad as the ones, the old one, but still.
But all the wiring,
All the computer stuff is fried in it. It was up at the front where the most heat and the most fire was. And fortunately, the fire department, when they cut the door in the back, they pulled that one out, that forklift out, which saved it. That was the first one we got running. The other one that was more up here where the Bobcat was, we actually got it running. When you first started it, everything went haywire for a little while. But the guy came from Toyota forklift, and we chose them, and we have all of ours with them because they're here every day. They service all these plants, all the forklifts. When you talk about good service, that little guy came 2 or 3 days after the fire. As soon as he heard about it, he came over there, and I happened to be there. He asked Mike, how'd your forklifts do? How did they fare? Do you need me to bring you one? Do we need to loan you one? What do you need? He was very, very nice. And he looked at them and what he's doing. I talked to him today. He got me a price on 2 new ones. And today he came back out and he is doing a punch list of everything that needs to be done to them to refurb them back to the way they were before the fire. And he told me, he said, Mavis, he said, I can get these workhorses running. He said, if I have to even put a new wiring harness on it, he said, I can get these working. We can save these forklifts. They're new enough that they're worth saving. So I trusted him on that, and he's going to put together a cost on that. But again, I don't think the insurance company, I don't think that guy's going to total those. I really don't. I might be surprised, but hopefully they'll give us enough that we can refurb those. I guess my gut feeling is I want to get enough money to get a Bobcat because that made me sick.
Yeah.
We'd waited a year to get that, and it just made me sick. And I think the building's gonna come out okay. I really do. In fact, I think we'll come out with a better one. I really do. Any other questions? I'll let you know. Maybe I'll know more in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Mavis, let me give you this right here.
Thanks. You sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
County manager report next item on the
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, you heard one from Mavis that we've been dealing with a lot of, out past fire. That's been keeping us really busy. And we're moving in a positive direction. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to come out with an improved facility. Last week we had our employee appreciation staff meeting, and the staff meeting focused on safety. And we brought in employees from across all departments. We want Mitchell County employees to say they're working for Mitchell County. I don't like to see folks siloed into their individual areas, I want them to come back and say, hey, you're working for the people of Mitchell County. So we had a good meeting. We covered a lot of things related to safety. We thank some of our employees for working on that. We had folks from communications, Jimmy English, Stephanie Wiseman, John Masters, Ashley Bean. They educated us a lot on drug awareness, some of the trends going on. We had a lot of just discussion on how you would go into an emergency situation, how you might use a defibrillator. It was very good information for our county employees. And I just want to say, sitting here, in this position as county manager, we're only as good as our employees, and we have some good employees. And I think this board expects our employees to work hard, and they do work hard. And I'm real proud of our county employees. And that right there is where I'll stop on that. I know we got a lot of projects, but I feel like we've covered them pretty good. I know Brock gave a good analysis of our Mitchell Recreational Facility. Our law enforcement center is moving. I think we're gonna have that. We got a young McQueen should be out this week to do site development on our rec facility. The middle school, as we partner with the Board of Education, seems to be moving in a positive direction. I think they got a construction meeting this week on that, but we're getting close to seeing some walls come up out of the dirt on that. So we got a lot going on, a lot of good things going on, a lot of things in the works. Bowman's down the road. We're looking at that. We're going to start doing some studies on that. We got a transportation hub discussion on some possible federal grant money for our Mitchell County Transportation Hub. So that's something we're looking at. So there's a lot of things in the works. And like I said, my main thing on my county manager report is just to thank our good employees.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you. And I know what you do. It's a thankless job, my friend. So appreciate what you do. Anything from the attorney's desk this evening?
Yes, sir, I believe we'll need a closed section for personnel and then also for attorney client matters, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a motion to go into closed session for those two items? Second, got a first motion and second. All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carried.
Who made that motion?
Stand here.
Probably have a whole other guest to stay confused.
I'm the chief secretary because I just. Nobody. I'll talk a little bit on this.
Think you've been doing all right?
Yes, you say.
We're good.
You want to turn the thing off, or are we going into the just with it?
Say, turn it off here.
All right. Thank you, guys, for those that hung in there with us. Don, before we go ahead to. Board comments. Commissioner Hardy,
I'm fine, sir.
Commissioner Ross,
No comment.
Commissioner Pittman.
I would just say that our youth voices representative well down at the conference. And I would hope that next year we choose some another set of representatives and continue that. I think that was really good for us. Future leaders would go.
You can tell those guys are brimming with excitement. I mean, when I was talking to them down there, I mean, both of them, you know, smiles straight up. So I was proud of those guys too.
I hope that becomes a tradition for us.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Commissioner Mathers.
Thank you. I know you're not surprised.
That's all right.
So, for one, Taylor, and Christy doesn't even know if any of you guys are gonna be in attendance to the High Country Dinner. She needs those this week, so preferably at least let her know tomorrow if you or your spouse are gonna be in attendance, so she can get that sent in. And then we will reimburse for our spouses or whatever. Also, there was on the UNC School of Government, there was a free class that I have signed up for. And it is for public school funding process. It is tomorrow at 10 a.m. to 11:15. So if anybody wants to join me, I'm going to be set up right down here in the EDC room,
What time is that, Harley?
zooming at 10 a.m. And I did invite the school board members to attend also if they wanted to. Only one of them took me up on that offer. The rest of them, I do think they have prior obligations, but Alan English is going to be over here. He said that he was very interested in just seeing kind of what it was about, so he'll be over here and anybody else is welcome. Then in the last High Country Transportation meeting, they have spoke about a CRP grant, which is a carbon reduction program. And basically, I listened to him talk and I was hoping that we could I'm always looking for grant opportunities. So after the meeting, I had called Chad and asked him to have a brainstorm, is there anything that would benefit the school? And basically we come up with sidewalks, and maybe do sidewalks down Ledger School Road. And so I tasked Alan with reaching out to David at the High Country, who then in turn reached out to Hannah and did confirm that we would qualify for that. And so I believe Alan sent out an email today speccing that out from the high school to all the way down to the DNRs for the main road. It is a 20% match. But Chad felt pretty confident that they could, if we're granted that, then we should be able to work something out there. And so, I believe they're working on price quotes. Is that correct?
Yes, they're gonna do some estimates on
It's
this.
20% that'll be a big number. But that's good.
But it's not 80%.
That's not 80%.
5 foot wide sidewalk, approximately 2,300 feet.
I just did one that was, mine was a little bit further than that, and it was just under $1 million, and we paved it, we didn't concrete it.
So they are gonna be doing that, and I don't know if that is on the senior center side of the road or the opposite side, but
We'll put the senior center is what they're.
is what they're saying, okay.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be safe, especially with the middle school going there. Cause I see citizens walking for ball games, I see kids
That'd be
walking
great.
to and from for lunch, so I don't know, just wanna kind of put that on your all's radar.
That's awesome.
And then I wanna talk about a little bit about the conference. It was very good. I'm very glad that I went. I was a little nervous about going, but overall, I think, the ones that went got something out of it, and I hope that we all can go, next year. It was really good just to kind of network with our Ashe County and Watauga peoples all the way down to Camden County and made a lot of connections. And I think, I'll definitely be going next year, but even Alan, I think he was a little nervous as well about going, but I enjoyed it. And then also in your boxes, I told Miss Sue Stewart that I would distribute that information that she emailed back in January again to you guys. So I did print that out and distribute that to you. And I told her that I gave it out and emailed it back to her, but she couldn't find her copy. And then lastly, number 6 was, you did a really good job, you and your staff did really good with the employee staff meeting, Alan. Everybody, as far as the decorations, the food, the material covered, as far as safety, I was very impressed, so thank you for getting that shindig put together.
Glad to do it.
So, that's all I got.
It's a lot of good stuff.
Sorry.
No, that's a lot of good stuff. Thank you. I don't have anything. I'd echo what you said about the conference. I've been on the board. This is my 5th year on the board and I had never been to that. And I regret not going because you learn, I mean, there's everything I went to was a learning experience. So I thought it was pretty good.
A lot of good connections with our neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, you kind of feel like that, you kind of get to see that, we're not the only ones sometimes, we don't feel like we got it together, there's a lot of others out there that's a lot, we're in a pretty good spot, so. I don't have any other comments, motion to adjourn. Sorry.
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah.